like what's going on with Wi-Fi or internet in Tuvalu, and oh man, good to see. By the way, good to see you, Maina. What's good?
Well, thank you so much, Ghazali. Thank you, brother, for inviting me to be part of this conversation. Internet is, I don't know. You talk about it. You talk about your experience in Tuvalu. What happened when you were there? It's difficult. Yeah.
Well, when I wanted to get internet, I had to obviously go to the bank and get the Wi-Fi strip and everything else. But it's it was good for emails and surfing, but I've never tried Zoom, Skype, or whatever, video calls and VTC in Funafuti. Anyway, hopefully. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosa, for keeping hanging in there, trying to fix everything. Hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to take care of all this. Maina, when it comes to indigenous knowledge and climate change, everyone gravitate towards Tuvalu. So I wanted to have you in this whole show, obviously. When it comes to indigenous knowledge, where it is right now, what were your first thoughts when you thought about the question?
Well, Ghazali, when we talk about indigenous knowledge in Tuvalu, we are literally talking about Muno de Fale, or wisdom from the house. Mm-hmm. For us in the Pacific, Fale or house is not a rented property. It is a storeroom where wisdom and knowledge are being stored, transmit, and pass on to the younger generation. Since there is no word that could translate to carry a deeper meaning and a deeper sense of indigenous knowledge in Tuvalu, I've coined and utilized the concept of Muno de Fale, wisdom from the house or of the house, to mean indigenous knowledge or indigenous wisdom. And I am fortunate to publish few articles and on the concept of Muno de Fale. Because in Tuvalu, traditional knowledge is not taught in the public space, nor in traditional meeting house or Falekaupule. If it happens to be taught in the Falekaupule, it literally general, but not on a particular issue.
Yeah.
Indigenous knowledge only found in our Fale, in our home, where our elders, our tupuna, our grandparents reside. Knowledge that are found or taught outside the Fale, or we call it Muna Tuapola, is considered to be invalid and unauthentic. So let me take us back to the question of where indigenous knowledge going right now. We should look into the context of COVID-19 and, in
Sure.
COVID-19 in Tuvalu, as of early May this year, about 1,500 plus the capital population were voluntarily moved back to the outer islands, with border closed, limited reliance on the importation of goods. Therefore, people are being forced to revisit their own traditional knowledge for their daily survival. And even in the new foreign policy that was launched, I think a month ago, was also framed around traditional wisdom, traditional knowledge, and traditional values. So that's how far our traditional knowledge have been utilized back in the island. But when we talk about the issue of climate change and traditional knowledge, we are being resilient in many ways, not just in terms of climate change, in the change of weather pattern and so forth, but we are resilient in many forms, in many ways. So having that traditional knowledge passed down to the younger generation and revisiting them and reviving them, I think it is one of the, it costs us nothing, it costs us nothing. So if we can mitigate using our traditional knowledge, we have to, the lesser we have to adapt, utilizing, opting for Western methodology, Western adaptation measures. But if we have that wisdom, we have that wisdom, but in fact we tend to favor the Western ideas of doing things rather than our own things. So it's about time that we need to decolonize our mind, our body, and our soul, and try to to have that deep sense of understanding what traditional knowledge really means to us.
Right. Maina, can you unpack that a little bit? Because you go into a very specific point. Everybody, I think a lot of people, as a Dr. Kealoha Fox as well, like when it comes to decolonization of healthcare, mind, and everything else. Can you, from your perspective, like what are like the first steps? What can people do when it comes to decolonizing mind, body, soul, and everything else?
Thank you. I think, Ghazali, when we talk about this new normal, it's been a discussion everywhere. What is a new normal? What is a new normal for the Pacific? What is the new normal for Tuvalu? And I think I've written an article on that, and it's literally means the new normal is going back. It's going back, reusing our traditional knowledge. For the West, development is about a new civilization for us. Development. It's a term that not only grabs the mind, but it gives some political and social flavor into what we do in our daily lives. But for us in the Pacific or even in Tuvalu, if we talk about development, we're talking about our traditional knowledge. We're literally going back. This new normal, for example, people are shifting from Funafuti to the outer islands. And most of them been spending most of their entire lives in Funafuti, 60 or 70% on the capital, and now they're going back. So that's the new normal is nothing new. We're literally going back to what we used to be in the past. Developing that relationship with nature, developing that relationship with our with the creation. Redeveloping our relationship with our surrounding and so forth. So it's nothing new for us, indigenous people. Right. For the West, it is a very critical shift for them. It's a dynamic shift. But for us, it's not a dynamic shift. It's just we are going back, Right. We are revitalizing what we learn and pass on from. So in the absence of any Western interference or Western domination, either concept or idealistics, that's normal for us. That's decolonization for us.
The absence of the Western influence. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Maina, we're running a little bit out of time. Any you wanted to talk about any knowledge, climate change, COVID-19, the intersection of it. You've already alluded about it. Any final thoughts, anything that you really want people to think about when it comes to indigenous knowledge, maybe in Tuvalu context or broader Pacific context?
No, I think, Ghazali, it's very important that we go back to the house where we belong to. Sit around next to our elders, which is our teachers. Sit around them, talk to them, learn from them. They've been around for quite a time. They know what has happened in the past. So we should believe in them, learn from them. Stop reading the Western texts. Read our own texts. Read our own tupuna's mind and soul and learn from them.
Yeah, thank you so much. People can see, but I'm getting goosebumps already, and we're only not even 5 speakers into the whole thing. Maina, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up later. We'll talk about rugby as well. That definitely, and Pacifica.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. You have a good one.
Oh no, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Maina. Tufa.